What is going on, everybody? I go by the name of Curry, and I want to thank you guys for joining me here today on SneakerPhetish. Today we got an early look for you guys at a shoe that I believe is pretty anticipated, but doesn't seem to have a ton of demand around it, but I'm personally still a fan of it. Without further ado, let's jump into it. Boom. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Air Jordan 12 Royalty. There's nothing like a good old classic coming back. And this time, if you guys don't realize, is for the 25th anniversary of the original Air Jordan 12. You guys remember, the original colorway of the Air Jordan 12 was the Taxi 12 that dropped November of 1996. But in November of 2021, we got the Taxi back, but in a little bit different way. Let's take a deeper look. Now, starting with the upper of the shoe here, classic Air Jordan 12 design. If you guys don't remember, the upper of the Air Jordan 12 is actually inspired by the Nishoki, or the Japanese rising sun flag. Now, apparently not only that, but it's also inspired by a 19th century women's dress boot. It's something new that I just learned. But you got a nice tumbled leather going around the top of this sneaker, going all the way down into the toe box of the shoe. That, of course, is offset by the gold eyelets at the top of the laces here, just like the Taxi 12s. Moving down into the midsole area here, you have this infamous Taxi 12 lizard skin rand here, both on the lateral and medial side of the shoe, just like the Air Jordan 2. It's kind of bringing that element back from the Air Jordan 2, that lizard skin. Now, underneath that, you have this gold clip here, this gold Jumpman clip, the infamous Air Jordan 12 clip here. Now, on the OGs, on the Taxis, you guys remember it was actually black, but this time, of course, for the 25th anniversary, they hit us with a splash of gold. Taking a top-down look at the shoe here, nothing really different except for the gold stitching instead of the classic black stitching on the regular Taxis, on the Jumpman on the tongue, and on the 2-3 underneath the laces. Speaking of laces, I actually want to get on this for just a second, because even though I got these early, I got these directly from GOAT, but even through GOAT, when I got this shoe, I was a little bit nervous, honestly, because a lot of the fakes that I've been seeing on YouTube and on the internet look pretty much the same as these. It's pretty crazy, but there is one major difference between the fake pairs and the authentic pairs that I want to make sure that I share with you guys if you guys are looking to get an early pair of these as well, and it has to do with the lace bag. On a lot of the fakes, the lace bag actually has a black Jumpman on it. That's how you pretty much know that it's a fake pair. On the authentic pairs, that bag will not have a Jumpman on it. It's just a clear bag. We'll do a couple of other legit checks as well, but that was one big one that I actually wanted to point out to you guys. And if you guys are in the comments saying, nope, it's the Jumpman bag, I guess we'll just see what ends up happening in November. But nevertheless, extra set of white laces with these to go with the black. Honestly, I always keep it black when it comes to offsetting against that white for a Taxi 12. I see no reason to do anything different with these, so I'd probably keep the black in there, but that's just me. Moving around to the heel of the shoe here. Now, a few differences on this heel tab here from the OG Taxi 12s. Number one, the square at the top of the heel pull here. Normally, it's a little bit gold. This time, you get white with the black Jumpman. On the verbiage for Jordan, quality inspired by the greatest player ever. You guys remember on the Taxi 12s, that's kind of a grayish color with a red outline. I believe the writing is white underneath here. This time, you get gold. And of course, the 23 on the heel reminds me of the Master 12s. If you guys remember, one of my favorite Air Jordan 12s to drop in a very long time. It was white, and again, you get that white 23 on the bottom of the heel, whereas on the Taxis, I believe the 23 is red. Now, that theme kind of continues on the outsole of the shoe as well. This time, you get a white Jumpman on the forefront of the foot here. You get kind of a different color carbon fiber as well, kind of that grayish black carbon fiber as opposed to that more yellowish carbon fiber that you got in the OGs, but a very nice simple touch against that black outsole. Still very clean. On the insole of the shoe here, you get a black insole with that gold Jumpman on the heel. And last but not least, on the interior of the shoe, you actually have quilted fabric, kind of giving it that little more elegant touch here, kind of that elevated touch for this royalty, this kind of regality of the 25th anniversary. With the gold hits, you also get the quilted interior fabric on the sock liner and behind the tongue of the shoe. So really like that touch as well. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the Air Jordan 12 Royalty, guys. Now, let's go through a couple of legit checks real quick, just for everybody that does the early shoe thing and wants to see what those look like. Then we'll get a little bit into the Air Jordan 12 as well. As I mentioned, the lace bag is a big one. No Jumpman on the lace bag. Now, on top of that, one thing that I do notice on a lot of early sneakers, I want to make sure I point out to you guys, is that your shoe trees, number one, the sizing on your shoe tree matches the size of the shoe. This is a size 9. The shoe tree says size 9 to a 9.5. Now, on top of that, on the back of the shoe tree here, it should say die cut sock liner. So there's a lot of shoe trees on a lot of fake sneakers, but they don't say die cut sock liner on the back. If it doesn't say that, it didn't come from an authentic OEM Nike factory. I know you guys like your production dates on these, and so So mine on my pair says March 30th, 2021 to July 15th of 2021. So when you're doing your legit checks, you know, those are the dates that I got. Now, here's an interesting legit check that I really wasn't banking on at first. So the box, of course, this is the box for the Jordan 12 royalty here. If you actually take a look at the box here, when the ones that came from GOAT, it actually has a little QR code sticker down here on the bottom. And when you click that QR code on the link, it actually takes you to the Nike Hong Kong website. So that's a really dope legit check that only goes on verified authentic sneakers if you're getting them, of course, overseas from places like GOAT. You guys know that GOAT and the place that I actually got these shoes from is actually a place called 1661 Inc. Now, what exactly is 1661? I'm glad you asked. 1661 Inc. is actually a sub-company of GOAT that's actually co-owned by the owner of GOAT and one of the higher-ups from Foot Locker. So believe it or not, Foot Locker, as we all know, invested about $100 million into GOAT. They're actually own GOAT and Flight Club at this point. Foot Locker is officially in the resale game, and so they're actually selling sneakers through 1661 Inc., which is co-owned by Foot Locker, to sell early pairs through the GOAT channels to people like us. So it's really interesting, but in case you didn't know that Foot Locker was officially in the resale game, Foot Locker is officially in the resale game. Now, getting back to the shoe itself. Again, personally, I like the shoe. This is definitely the better royalty Jordan release that we've seen in quite some time. If you guys remember, the royalty Jordan 4 came out, I think in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, and people really didn't like the shoe once they got it in hand. It looked great in pictures, but once they realized it was kind of that nappy suede kind of leather in hand, a lot of people really weren't feeling it. But with the Jordan 12, it seems like the leather is kind of a nice, kind of softer tumbled leather here. It's an Air Jordan 12, so naturally it's just going to be a popular model, and it's modeled after one of the most iconic colorways. But the problem is that a lot of people just wanted another Taxi 12. And we tend to see that a lot of times with sneakers that are almost like an OG colorway. That reflects kind of in the resale markets as well, right? Like people are like, but it's not a Taxi. It's close to a Taxi, but it's not a Taxi. So you got two options. You can either get a dope customizer to paint this black or to kind of change the threading colors or whatever to make it look like a Taxi, which honestly, I don't think that would be too difficult to do if you're good at what you do. But again, a lot of people just want a regular Taxi. They don't want these revamped versions of classic, iconic colorways of sneakers here. It's like taking a Chicago 1, but then just like changing the swoosh to make it like orange or something. Like, people aren't going to buy it like they would buy the original Chicago 1. And unfortunately, I don't think that people are going to be tripping over themselves to buy the royalties like they would have ended up buying the original Taxis if they just re-released for the 25th anniversary. So I don't know what's going on at Jordan Brand. I understand that they want to push things forward, and then of course they want to pay homage to the past with a lot of sneakers that they're doing and a lot of concepts that they're doing. We look at shoes like the Off-White Air Jordan 2, and we look at the fact that they're trying to freeze these moments and tell these 2021 versions of these nostalgic stories. And of course, for the 25th anniversary of the Taxi 12 and the debut of the Air Jordan 12, it makes sense to do a royalty version with some gold in there. And you know, I'm not mad at it. It just seems like, and especially reflected in the fact that the numbers are very low when this sneaker doesn't even drop, I think, until November the 13th. You can pretty much get these sneakers for retail price right now off of places like eBay, StockX, or GOAT. If you're a big fan of the 12 and you were a fan of Michael Jordan back in 1996, 1997 season, that incredible second championship that they won despite the flu game or the food poisoning game or whatever you want to call it, that second championship right in the middle of that second three-peat run that the Bulls were on. I mean, the Jordan 12 is stamped in history as one of the most iconic and durable, for that matter, silhouettes in the entire signature Air Jordan line. So the Air Jordan 12 is one of those ones that people are going to have their eye on. It just seems like even despite the history, even despite the iconic colorway, it's kind of fallen flat with people. The 12 represented the fact that Michael Jordan could come back and dominate the game. That's true to a design kind of brainstorm sketch that Tinker had when he was sketching out the Air Jordan 12 and all these different talking points that he had on this sketch. And that was one of them, that he'd come back and dominate. Even though there were a lot more people in the game, a lot younger kids in the game at that point, he could still come back and prove that he truly was the GOAT. And I love that about the Air Jordan 12. It speaks to resilience. It speaks to determination. It speaks to the grind of being the greatest at what you do and what comes with that, even through sickness, even through anything else that you may be dealing with. So I love the Jordan 12. I think that this sneaker, it's a good pickup. I think that it's worth paying the $200 for, but I certainly understand those of you guys that are gonna take a pass on these, maybe because there's a lot of other sneakers coming out that you just want more. But that's kind of the beauty of where we are these days, right? There's so many things that are coming out these days. Maybe we can kind of pick and choose things that we wanna put our money towards or things that we don't really want. Hopefully all the botters don't get their hands on these though and try to charge you guys an arm and a leg to get your hands on them if you want them. But for now, that's pretty much all that I gotta say about these. Now it's time for you guys to sound off down in the comments and let me know what you guys think about the Air Jordan 12 Royalty due to drop, I believe November 13th. Don't quote me on that because obviously the release dates are all over the place right now. But are these a must cop for you? Do you want to add them to your collection or are these a hard pass? Let me know down in the comments why or why not. Of course, right down in the comments, make sure that you click on that subscribe button so we can welcome you into the Sneaker Fetish family to make sure you don't miss out on any more heat that comes through like these, because I guarantee you I got a lot more heat on the way. As always, I want to thank you guys for joining me here today on Sneaker Fetish, taking a look at these with me, unboxing them with me for a couple of minutes. I go by the name of Kari. This is the Air Jordan 12 Royalty, and until next time, I'm out.